there was that recent book called Legacy about the All Blacks. Would you give an insider's view into the legacy, the culture of the All Blacks? Like, for example, just then you said something that also just jumped out at me. You said, you go to a different city every week and you have a different roommate every week. Like, I'd sort of, when I heard you say that, I went, I would have assumed that, I'm good mates with this guy, so we're going to share the room all the time. But is that orchestrated? Like, is it almost like a lucky draw this week? You know what, Gilly, you're with, Can you speak to the legacy and also that little observation that I just made? The culture of the All Blacks, man.
Yeah, I think it's how do I explain it? The team's been around for a while, right? It's been, I think it must be 115 years or something like that now. The All Blacks have been a team, and it's been a very successful team. The winningest team in the history of all sports teams. I think the winning percentage of all time in that 115 years, however many years it is 75%. Okay, so the All Blacks lose 1 in 4 games in all of history. So wow. That's a pretty amazing stat, right? So that in itself is probably the cornerstone of the culture, is the fact that it's been a very successful team, and bear in mind that more than half of those games are played overseas. So everyone knows about home advantage and how important home advantage is, and you're almost expected to win if you play at home, and you're not expected to win if you play away. We've got 75% winning record, and over half of our games are overseas. So it makes it even more special. We don't have a base. It makes it even more special. So there's all these things that make the culture or the legacy of the team pretty special. And so that's the first thing, because that motivation and that expectation that the jersey has on individuals that get selected is so high. The pressure is huge, because this team has been successful, so you need to come in and make sure it remains successful. So the pressure is massive, and so I think that's a big part of it. And then the second part of it is we have lots of things within the team that just make it special. And every team talks about what's special in their environment and what they do to try and create a good culture. And there's been lots of amazing people that have contributed to the culture in the past that have made it so special. But I mean, there's a few things, and I can't sort of divulge too much. But being a great person, makes you a great All Black, and so being a good person is really important. And
Gilly, I can't hear you. You there?
Hang on just a second.
Oh, no, you're back. You're back. It just cut out for a second. No need to edit, mate. Keep going. Being a great person. Go on.
Oh, hang on. Something's just coming up on my computer. Can you see me okay still?
I can still see you and hear you. No worries, mate. You just cut out for like 2 seconds.
Okay, mate. Good.
Being a great person, you were saying, is it being a great All Black?
Really, really important. And that's around being grateful and humble and all those sorts of traits that when you're a parent, you want your kids to have. Picking up your rubbish, signing autographs for kids that have been waiting for half an hour, just being a kind, nice person, and that's really important. And if you do that first and foremost, then lots of things fall into place around the environment. Little things, like in Legacy, it's written about in the book about sweeping the sheds. That's written about in the book. The All Blacks leave the shed cleaner than what they found it. Okay. And the cool thing about that, I don't know if it comes out in Legacy. I can't remember, because I haven't read Legacy, because it was actually an illegally written book.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah. The guy that wrote it didn't have permission to. But anyway, that's another story.
It's a brave individual. When you look at the size of those All Black players, go on, mate. You better run.
We leave a change room cleaner than what we found it, and no one even talks about it. So, at the end of a game, we sit around, we have our meeting, and we have a beer and stuff, and then when we leave to get on the bus, everyone just cleans up. No one says anything. It's just expected. No one stands up and says, "Okay, guys, now let's all clean up. Let's get a broom. Let's do this." No one talks about it. It just happens, right? And so that's sort of a reflection of where the group and the environment's at. And I think you asked about, what did you ask about? What was the question you asked about culture and legacy?
Oh, mate, I'm not sure. I just wanted to give a snapshot. Yeah, but I do have a question now. Would you mind just sharing one individual story? Pick a player. They're all, I'm sure that, like you just said, they're all great blokes, and they're humble and competitive and grateful to be an All Black, which I can only imagine as you come across as well, Gilly. But would you share one human story of one individual, if it's all right to share the player's name and just this guy, what he did? I know they're all amazing, and it must be hard for you to pick an individual, but would you mind picking one and just sharing one of those stories?
Oh, I think yeah, there's lots of stories, but I think um yeah, like the ones that go unnoticed are the ones that are most special. I think it's when people are doing things where no one sees it. Like
Yeah.
it's all very well and good being the nice human when everyone can see you doing it, because you're getting sort of appreciation by being seen. I think for me, it's the acts that happen when that people don't see, that are just genuine good things to do. And we got a couple of players thinking back to the World Cup, and Bodie Barrett would be helping our baggage man move some bags because he knows he's under the pump, and he'd meet him down there and he'd move some bags. And Sammy Whitelock, who's been around for I don't know 150 years, he's the most senior player in the team. He's the oldest player in the team. He's the tallest player in the team, and he's the first one to unload a truck of luggage. You
Yeah.
know, even if the team hasn't been asked to help, he's out there helping, and he might be the only one with the staff unloading the truck on this particular day. Um, and so it's just little things like that I think are just signs of people wanting to give back to the team. And when you want to give, then that's infectious. Everyone wants to give, and it all becomes about the team. And the team's got to come first all the time.
Yeah. What is I heard culture defined as once as a non-genetic transmission of human behavioral styles, meaning around here people like us do stuff like this. So when the younger players see Sam Whitelock doing that, it must make them just go, "Holy cow, how cool is that?" And no, like you said, nobody's watching. Can we just jump on Sam Whitelock? Oh, sorry, what was that, Kelly?
I mean, that's the key, isn't it? Like, when young new players see senior old players doing stuff, they're like, wow,
Yeah.
he's the best player on the park. He's played 130 Test matches, 140. He's the most kept All Black of all time, and he's unloading the truck. Like, how cool is that?
That is
Um,
amazing, huh?
no one needs to say anything, right? Because it's just seen. It's a behavior that's seen, and that behavior becomes expected. So it's very cool.
Hey, so jumping on Sam Whitelock again, um, let's go to the gym. How and that culture around here, people like us do things like this. When the young kids come in, is he going up to the young guys and saying, "Come on, I'm the old bloke. I've been here 130 tests." That competitive nature. Let's see if you can compete with me. Let's wrestle. Or is there any of that stuff going on? Being the old dog speaking to the new
Yeah,
up and coming
yeah,
pup.
a little bit. Not so much in the gym though. Like Sammy, I'm pretty sure he PB'd in his snatch on the semi-final or final week.
Geez, that's
I think he might
awesome.
have got 100, I might have got 105 kilos in his snatch overhead. So, if he didn't get his PB, he matched it. Yeah, and that's a guy that's played 150 tests for the All Blacks, which is pretty ridiculous when the All Blacks only play about 13 tests a year on average. So, that's 12 years in the All Blacks. So in the gym, he doesn't really compete with other people, just himself.
Hmm.
But on the field, I remember he hurt a player wrestling just before the World Cup, actually. I just wanted another player to do some sort of wrestling conditioning. And so I said, Sammy, can you go and do some wrestling with this player? And anyway, Sammy didn't, he wants to make sure he wins that wrestle. End up hurting this player. I think he broke his finger or something. And he walked off with a bit of a smirk on his face, like, yeah, probably shouldn't have competed quite so hard. I should have not had to show the young fella who's boss. Like he felt a bit guilty, but he also, was like, oh, that's what happens when you mix with the old dog. Like it was just
You
sort of
got
it was a
it.
mixed was a bit of a mixed emotion. I mean, he didn't intend to hurt him, but the fact that he got hurt meant that, that's what happens when you come against the old dog. That's why we've been here for 150 years. So, yeah, so highly competitive, but, the key thing I reckon is, you're competing against yourself in the gym often, even though you're still looking sideways when you get that old and that old in the tooth, you're sort of just looking inside and within to make sure you're still getting better.
Do you remember Brad Thorne, Gilly? So,
Well, I was going to mention Thorny actually because I worked with Thorny and he left the lasting impression on Sammy Whitelock. It was actually beautiful. Brad Thorne left the lasting impression on Sammy Whitelock and Owen Franks, and that he was very much meat and potatoes. And what I mean by that is very basic. Like he lifted in a very basic way. He trained in a very basic way. Nothing flashy. His nutrition was very basic. His pre-match meal was a banana sandwich. Like it was just he had these routines that just didn't change. And as soon as we tried to change things, he didn't like it. And so Sammy became the Brad Thorne. When Brad left, Sam became the Brad Thorne. Simple meat and spuds, bench, chin, squat, and snatch. That's his lifts. Simple as that. Don't need to do anything different. Just get stronger in them over time. And that's what he did. He got stronger and bigger, and just nailed his core role on the park. So, Brad Thorne had a massive impact on our environment when he was involved, because his work ethic and his professionalism was sort of something that wasn't as common in the All Blacks back then as it was when he left.
Yeah, and if we look at success, he also played for Australian Rugby League, didn't he? Like, talk about success as an athlete.
Broncos legend, Aussie Rugby League legend, Crusaders legend, All Black legend. Yep, absolutely.
And then if we look at longevity, which is a buzzword right now, isn't it? But he was ahead of his time, because I heard a story once when they were when he was playing for the Broncos. Everyone was getting on the bus to get dropped off and go home, and Brad Thorne said, "No, I'll be right, boys. I'm going to walk, or I'm going to jog home after the game, just to help himself kick into that recovery process a little bit faster." And you would say Sam Whitelock has that same inspiration, that same drive that's allowed him to play that many tests.
Yep, absolutely. I think the same drive, the same simplicity and approach to his professionalism. I think Sammy's probably one of the last sort of hunters. Like he loves a hunt. He loves chasing pigs and deer. We used to have a lot of hunters in the team, and there's still a few, but not as many as there were. We used to have a lot of farmers in the team, not as many as there were. But yeah, Sam's got a big farm now. He's going to be a farmer when he finishes playing. And he's taken me on a few deer and pig hunts, and he bloody up in the mountains, man, he can move, I tell you.
Yeah.
Leaves me in the dust, and still makes me carry the pig out. And he's twice as big as me, and I have to carry the bloody pig out.
No free ride, Gilly. No free ride, mate. Do you know, for a moment there, when you were saying he's one of the last hunters, I thought that was a metaphor that was going to lead into a story on the rugby pitch, but literally the dude's a hunter. Got it.
Yeah, no, it's actually a hunter. Yeah, absolutely.